Hi, my name is Kelly Messick, and I'm a pastor here at Vineyard Columbus. And if you are seeing this video, you are being trained as a staff member in what we call staff on call. And what that means is that there's a schedule of folks each day that are scheduled to be on call to take a phone call or possibly a walk-in from the community. It's not necessarily from our congregation that is asking for prayer. And so each day there are a couple of pastors, maybe several pastors, and several staff members that are on that list to pray. And when these calls or these people come in, we pretty much are given permission to drop what it is we're doing, to step out of what we're doing, and to respond to this call, this need for prayer. What we want you to know is that it is not something where you have to come and fix this person's problem. So what we're trying to do here is spread the responsibility out amongst all of our staff, so that just a few people or just pastors aren't the only ones bearing that load, bearing the weight of that. So many of the things that people come in or call for prayer for are things that all of us are capable of praying for. I want you to think about when we're in church on Sunday and they say, would our prayer team come forward to pray for folks? Most everyone that does that has been trained, but they've been mostly trained in like a format of prayer. But they also are given that responsibility and that ability to do so by God. And so while we would love for you to be trained in the Vineyard Prayer Model, it is available to you. And there are several ways you could do that. You can ask HR on how to get trained in that model. But really, what we want to have folks do in this concept, in this space, is to ask the person what it is that they need, what they're calling about, not what they need, what they're calling about, and what's going on, and we listen, and we allow them to share, and then we offer to pray for them. Now, so that's the first part. The second part is possibly offering them help. And so we have the prayer, the time where you listen, the time where you pray, and then introducing them to something that we call the help form. And I have a video from the director of our community center, Gina Watts, and she goes into exactly how that help form works. What we want you to know is that when folks come in for prayer, there may be a social service that we are aware of that can help them. And as you may already know, we do have a medical clinic, we have a dental clinic, we have a legal clinic. That is, I think, mostly for immigrant services, but nonetheless, we also have a health clinic, we have a food pantry. So in all of the things that we do have, what we want is to channel those requests through our community center and to use that help form. What this means for you is that you are not being asked to get them food. You are not being asked to provide for someone something that is out of your what you can do. You are not asked to promise them anything. We are not to promise people that call in with housing issues that we can do something for them. What we do is to say that we want to pray with them, to help them to bring their need before God and to pray a blessing over them. And then to either direct them to filling out the form or to helping them fill it out yourself Anybody can go in. You can put in their name, their information, and what their need is, and someone will call them back within 2 business days. Usually 48 hours. If it's on a Friday, that might not happen till Monday. Likely won't happen till Monday, but we can say within a few business days, we will be able to get back to you. So as you can imagine, the church is here for others. This is why we exist. And so if it's not in your experience, let's say, if you've not ever been someone who has prayed for people for needs, we would love to invite you to start in this way. And as I mentioned, you can even be trained to be on the prayer team here so that on the weekends you have the opportunity to partner with the church in that way. But I'm going to list a few things that you might be able to think about as you're listening to this and wondering, what's this going to be like for me? Our receptionists are the ones that run this. So obviously they're our first face, our first voice. So they answer the phones, they greet people when they come in. And then they're tasked with getting a hold of whoever is on the list that day. So let's say I'm scheduled for Wednesdays and I'm in a meeting. Or let's say I had to go off-site for a meeting. I can't take that call right now. Maybe it's a meeting that I'm leading and I cannot leave for it. What I can do is ask to pause for a moment and let the receptionist know that. So, or let's say I'm meeting with someone, but maybe in an hour, I can call that person back. I can let the receptionist know that. What we don't want to do is not respond to the receptionist because they have a lot of other things to do too. And for them to have to spend a lot of time looking for us, that makes their job harder. So again, we're sharing the load and we want to be able to say, I can do this in such and such a time, or this really won't work today. I apologize. Let me know if you can't find someone else, something like that, so that you are in connection, you're in communication with the receptionists about your staff on call status. I would say that it's really good to plan on being on site on the day that you have said, I will be on call. That's a really great thing to remember to do. But I also want to say that in talking with folks over the last year or so, I have heard that this comes up 1 to 2 times a year. For staff folks, for pastors, it may be a little bit more often, maybe 5 times a year, 6 times a year, but this is not a large part of what you do. And so when you are requested to do it, we hope that you'll be able to take the time to fulfill this duty. So staff on call ministry members must first check the name in Arena. So Arena is our database. We actually are going to a new database. And I've forgotten the name of that, but everyone will be trained in it. You would go to our database to check the person's record. And in the database, you might find notes referring to previous calls or previous requests. You might be able to find out if they're in a small group, or you may find out that they're new to the church. Or you can go into Arena, look at their record before you call them or go to meet them to make sure that there's not something there that you need to ask someone else about. Let's say someone had called in and spoken with a pastor before, and that pastor put a note in. You can talk to that pastor before you talk to them to see if it's a good thing for you to meet with them. But mostly this will be just so you can be familiar with the person. And then you have their record up because you will also need to put a note in Arena. Well, I'm saying our name again, that we're not going to have, but in our database, you'll be able to put a note in that they called in or came in and that you met with them, you talked with them and prayed for them. Maybe that you helped them fill out the help form or you directed them to do that. That again is the goal if there's a physical or even spiritual need, maybe counseling or something like that. And the people in the community center are trained to help folks get connected with what they need. We don't expect you to know it all. However, there is a binder at each reception desk in the church. So that if you did want to find, let's say someone came in and they needed housing. They found themselves all of a sudden without somewhere to live. Then you could go to that book and get them the phone number. I'm trying to think of the name of the organization, but a phone number of someone they can call for a homeless shelter or maybe just to find some housing somewhere. Now, often people will already be aware of these things, but if they're not, you have that resource there that helps you to find something that might help them. And again, you're not responsible to do it for them. As a matter of fact, we are asking you not to step into any role with the person that would bring you into responsibility or where you would be liable for anything. For instance, we're not really allowed to give people rides that we don't know, that we're out not in relationship with. Someone asks for a ride or asks for money, that kind of thing. Obviously, that in any other case, in any other place, that is up to you. But here at the church, when we come into contact with someone who is in need, we really want the focus to be on prayer and connecting them with people that can help them. So when you do connect with them, you can be sure that the Lord is going to be with you, that He's going to meet you in what you're doing. And so, as always, as you might imagine, you want to be sensitive, gentle, naturally supernatural. These are some of some of the language that we use here. But I would say non-judgmental, being willing to listen and to both the person and to God about what it is that you might feel led to pray for them. And again, remember, we're not praying to fix their problem. We're praying for God to meet them in their need, the way He does us all. And so your demeanor and the way that you enter into this is the important thing here. You should always feel comfortable asking for help. If you meet with someone and either they really are asking for more than you've been given to do, or you really think you don't know what to do and you would like to have someone come alongside you, let the receptionist know. You can call them or you can go out and talk to them if you're in the building, but let them know that you need help and they will do everything they can to get you that help. You are never expected to be completely on your own. And so, again, if you feel like this is something that's over your qualification, or the person is in great distress and you want someone else there just to be a witness and to help you pray, that's when you should contact the receptionist and find someone to help, or a coworker of yours that happens to be there. And you say, I don't know what to do about this. Have you ever dealt with this? Do you know what to do? We just want you to feel like you're not on your own, even though you are. This is your day and your call. I'm going to repeat that we would love for you to be trained in the Vineyard prayer model. We believe that any Christian can pray for another Christian. You have what you need as a follower of Jesus to do this. But we have a great prayer team and a great prayer model that kind of gives you structure and steps. And I don't want to teach that here. We want you to really allow yourself to kind of be immersed in that in the teaching. So ask HR how you can do that best when you begin your work here at Vineyard Columbus. Just a last thing, one last thing that I wanted to mention is to really be kind to the receptionists. This is a difficult part of their job. And so when we're asked to step in, we want to be available as much as possible. And we want to do it in, of course, the gracious way that we would want it done for us. And so we really want to give the honor and respect and integrity to the receptionist to help them out as much as we can. This as a rule should not take more than 15 minutes. Now, you may have someone who has a lot to say, and I encourage you to listen to them as long as they need. But if it starts going over 15 minutes and you've still not been able to pray, I encourage you to ask if you could interrupt and offer to pray. Let's bring this to God now. We just don't have the capacity to hear a story that really takes us further than what this ministry is meant to do. And again, we do have pastors here, we have counselors. And so if something tends to seem like it's going in deeper than it was meant to, you can say, can I have a pastor call you back? And that would be perfectly understandable for the person. Mostly, they're just so grateful. Our members, people in the community, when the church is there to hear their concern and to listen and to offer prayer, that's something that they are valuing greatly. And so we don't really need to worry about how being able to fix everything that they've got going on. You want to move the conversation toward prayer. And again, then during prayer, remember to bring it to the Lord, to bring their concerns and what it is that they are needing to the Lord, as opposed to praying specific things that they should do. So we don't want to pray prayers of advice. We want to pray prayers of blessing. So if the person is experiencing anxiety, we want to ask the Holy Spirit to give them his peace. If a person is experiencing a financial crisis, we want to ask God to provide for them. We know that he is their provider. And if a person is having relational struggles, or maybe someone is sick, we ask God to heal. We know that God wants to do all of these things. These are the ways that he comes to us, that he wants to be with us. And so we can pray those prayers rather than thinking we need to know, have all the wisdom to fulfill what they need, or that we know what the answer is. When in times of crisis or trouble, what we need is someone else to take us to the Lord, someone to come alongside us and bring us into God's presence. And I'm sure you have experienced that yourself, and you know what it's like. We here in Vineyard say that faith is spelled R-I-S-K. And so if you're anxious or unsure about whether you can do this or not, we want to encourage you to risk and to take a chance. And so talk to someone about that, what it would look like. Do whatever you need to do to be prepared, but we do encourage you to risk it. We all make mistakes. I know I have on these calls. We all may need to ask for help, but we're going to grow together. So we do not want to bring this responsibility to you and leave you on your own. You have advocates and you have someone to talk to. If you think you might have done something that you shouldn't have done, or you just didn't know what to say, then that's the time to learn and to grow. So you're not on your own. And faith is spelled R-I-S-K. We do want to encourage folks to, in their relationship with Jesus. And so if you sense that this person doesn't have a relationship with Jesus or doesn't know him, then you have the opportunity to do that as well, which I think that often when folks call, they already know the Lord, but when someone comes in, you just don't know where they've been. And so offering to do that is an especially gracious gift to them. We know that's what we're here for. And then if they are a believer or part of this church, we want to encourage them around small groups. You do not need to find them a small group, but you can direct them to our small group finder, or you can go there with them and look through it. That, of course, is something that may only take a few minutes of your time and may set them on a course for something better. Whatever you do end up doing, whatever the call or the walk-in seems to be about, you want to make sure that you pray. That's the most important thing. Listening is important, being present is important, but if we don't pray with them, then we've left something really important out. And so, as I said, Gina is going to be finishing us up on this training with a short video about how to use the help form and what the church can say yes to for folks that are calling in. If you have any questions, this is coming from the Next Step Ministries here at Vineyard Columbus, and anyone in the Next Steps team can help you with that. So you can go to HR, you can come to Next Steps, and we will answer any questions that you still have. Last but not least, we are going to ask you to let the receptionist know once you've watched this video and you're starting your work, let them know what day of the week you think would be the best day for you to be on call. And also, I did forget to say that once you do that on call, your name goes to the bottom of the rotation that's there. So you know that you will be on that day, you can be called, but you also know that it won't be a regularly or daily occurrence, weekly occurrence, most likely, not obvious, most likely. So as you think about that, say, oh, Thursdays are a much quieter day for me, or Mondays are the best day. Let the receptionist know that. They'll put your name in, and then you will be ready on that day to receive a call from the receptionist asking for you to pray for someone. Thank you for listening, and make sure and let us know if you need anything. Bye-bye.
Hello, Vineyard Columbus. It's Gina Watts here. I want to take a few minutes to give you a brief overview about the help form process. This is just going to be a quick 4-point session so that I can share with you so that you have an awareness about how our help forms work and how you can say yes to helping people when you encounter them and they are in need. Okay, so there's four steps, 4 R's for you to keep in the back of your mind. So oftentimes, any of us, whether we're pastors, whether we're ministry assistants, coordinators, administrators, directors, members of our facilities team, working in the cafe, wherever we find ourselves serving, especially those of you who have direct contact with folks all the time. I think of our teachers often have immediate contact with folks, or on the weekends when people come up to you, somebody might be asking you for help. Remember this, the answer is always yes. Not necessarily yes to their specific need, but there is a way for us to serve them. And the way that we do that is to be mindful of our posture. We take time to listen. We take time to listen to what they have to share with us, be fully present and listen. The next thing we do is connect. We connect them to our help form process, which I'll talk to you about in a second. And then the third thing we do is pray with them. We pray with them. And if we don't do the other two, if you forget the other two steps, you make sure that you pray. Pray with everyone. We encourage it, on our community resource coordinating team, we have a process by which instead of asking folks, may I pray for you? We do it this way. We say, you know what? I'm going to pray for you right now. You invite the Holy Spirit in, you follow our prayer model, and you get present with people in their time of need. So that way, guess what? You're always saying yes to be a help to them. It might not be able to resolve their immediate problem, but if you take time to listen, to connect them to the help form, and then to pray with them, people will feel seen and heard. So that's what I need you to commit to. The second thing is the help form, right? So the first is the request. So you encounter a request. This is any time, any space, you encounter a request. Then you go to what's next is the required step of the help form. I'm going to show you on our website where you can find the help form. You're going to go to help. See, it's right here at the top panel. So it says give, watch, choose a campus. Then the next section says explore, next steps, help, media, who we are. You're going to go to help and you're going to click on help form. It's right there at the top. And we have a short description of our help form. And then we ask a few questions for a little bit of information. We need their first and last name, a way to contact them. While cell phone isn't required, a phone number is great to have in there. Their email address, how they are involved with Vineyard Columbus. They could be a member, an attender, maybe they're engaged in the community center, or none of the above. We ask them to describe their situation right here in this block, and it'll expand for more space. And then we ask them if their request for help is a direct relation to the impact of COVID. And then they just hit submit. Super simple, right? So you might be in a situation where somebody doesn't have access to a computer or they don't have a smartphone. You can stand there with the person, go to the website, and fill out the form on their behalf. Okay, so whether they fill it out on their own or you fill it out for them, but that's a way to start the help process. Another reason why, we created this, so we created it to be efficient in the way that we respond to people and help us with tracking, and so that we can, stay connected with folks. We also did it so that when you are encountering somebody who's in need of help, you don't feel the pressure or the worry that you have to have the answers to their situation. You, my friend, even if you're trained in your job right now, though, you're not the social worker for the staff. You are, representing for the staff. You're not the social worker for our church, right? You are not the one who knows all the answers about housing. There's so many variations of need that it would be exhausting for all of us to know all the things. So what we've done is created a system by which people can receive help. They're going to get help from you because you're going to listen, you're going to connect them to the help form, and you're going to pray with them. And then they'll also receive a follow-up from our community resource team. We have a commitment to within 48 business hours that we will follow up with folks and assist them with their particular needs. So that information that's collected on that form, that goes to the community resource team. I'm a part of that. And we review the request and we figure out the best way to serve the person in need. We give them resources internally. So sometimes we are blessed that we have resources within our organization that can help them get the resources they need. And sometimes there's an external organization that might have the resources or might be a better fit to help them in their situation. We'll connect them to those external resources, but we'll take care of that and be sure to follow up with them. We also keep notes in Arena so that we're keeping up with our processes. We're currently moving from Arena to Reach. So the same thing will be in the Reach system, where we'll know what the person's experience is. Now, here's something for you to know. When we take notes in the system, only the people that are working on the case have access to that information, and then obviously senior leadership. There are controls placed on each client or help requester's profile so that we can keep their confidentiality and work with them very intentionally. Okay? All right. And then finally, we commit to a resolution, meaning we listened, we connect, we prayed, and then the connection part really lives after you do the handoff through the help form. The connection and the follow-up and the consistency with serving the person in need comes through the community resource team. All right, so I'm going to review it again. There's a request for help. The answer is always yes. Not necessarily yes to their specific question or their need, but yes to be present for them, because we are going to listen. We are going to connect them to what they need, which is the help form. And then we're going to pray for them and pray with them. Next is what's required, which is going to the help form. And I showed you how to access that. You go to the vineyardcolumbus.org website. The second row of items says help in there. Click on help, and help forms the very top item in the drop down. You can complete the help form for somebody right there on your phone, or you can give them the website information and they can go do it themselves at a later date. Next is response. We commit to respond within 48 business hours. Okay, so 48 business hours, and that response will actually be done by our community resource team. And then finally, resolution. We have helped the person at the beginning, and we're helping them through the process all the way to the end. And we commit to listen, connect, and pray. We can't do all things. We can't be all things, but we can connect people to the resources that could possibly best serve them. Remember that we are not operating alone or in silos. We are one team that's working together to meet a need. If you have questions, don't hesitate to email me and reach out to our community resource team. Thanks so much. God bless you guys.